to our Google Hangout. I'm Soledad O'Brien. Tatyana Ali is on the far side of me. Kathy Ireland is right next to me. We've been hanging out at our PowHERful Summit, that's PowHERful Summit, talking with young women about some of their dreams and how to realize them and some of the obstacles as well. And what I'm so grateful for is you guys are so real and blunt and accessible to these young women who I think often look at you two and say, I never will be able to do this. Talk to me a little bit about some of the obstacles that you face that you've been able to overcome. Why don't you start, Tatyana?
Obstacles that I've faced. One of the big obstacles I faced was actually when I graduated from college. I spoke about that with the girls. And making a career for myself as a grown-up actress.
Because you graduated.
Not an adult actress with people.
You graduated
as a grown-up actress.
And people would think, well, Harvard, how could that work against you to have a degree from a great university? But if you want to be an actor, it actually hurts sometimes.
It shouldn't, because I think artists should be educated. I think it informs you that there's a responsibility to the voice that you have, that the stories that you tell actually matter, and really great actors study. They study their craft. It really is a craft. But it was, I guess that was an adjustment, an evolution that I would have had to have made anyway. Going away from the business and then coming back kind of made it more difficult. But I took so much from what you said, because I really had to make that choice and decide nobody else is going to define me. I'm not going to be defined by the past or my character, Ashley Banks, on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
I called her Ashley. That is so terrible. But I can be the first.
But it's still amazing, because that's an iconic character. And I want to create characters that people remember and that people respond to in that way and have that sort of familiarity with. So I really had to make a choice. I'm going to do this for the rest of my life if I want, till I'm 80. I want to be playing characters all my life. So you're either going to like it, you're either going to take it or leave it. And I kind of thought about it as being sort of the last man standing. I'm going to keep knocking on the door until somebody answers, and they have. So it's been good, it's worked.
Kathy, you talk about criticism as being a gift, and oh, gosh, I find that so hard. Like, I don't want that gift. No, thank you to that gift. Not interested in that gift. How did you, I mean, did you always feel that way, or did you come to that eventually?
Like most lessons in my life, I've learned the hard way. And just coming to learn that criticism, it can be a gift, that oftentimes is wrapped in a nasty package, but we've got to open that package and dig deeply to discern, is there something, despite the ugly wrapping, is there something I can learn from this? Is there a takeaway? Or is it just garbage that needs to be discarded? But we have to hear it. And I think so often we want to put blinders on, we want to put our head in the sand, we don't want to hear the negative, we don't want to, it's going to mess with our dream, we don't want to hear it or think about it. But we need to face life, and we need to face people who are going to come against us. We need to face it head on and really hear it and make our decision, really be proactive, like what you were saying, Tatyana, not just allowing other people to put that limit on you, and not just to be reactive to what's out there, but you taking the steps to put yourself on the trajectory of your career that you want, not being reactive, but being really proactive in making that happen.
Yeah.
What do you wish someone had told you, for both of you? I'm trying to think of what I mean, I wish someone had said to me, like, all these dramas, you're going to forget about them next year. Like, we won't even be worried about this. This thing that is keeping you up tonight and all next week, in 6 months you will have completely forgotten about it. So get a good night's sleep. Stop worrying about it. What do you wish someone had told you?
A lot of things. So much of it has been touched on. Trust yourself.
That's a good
I
one.
wish somebody had told me that. I had to learn the hard way, and through experience, like, I knew that was going to happen. I mean, in small ways and in very big ways, with big decisions in my life. Nobody knows more. Everybody, I mean, yes, they're mentors and they're people who have more life experience, but your path is your own, like you guys spoke about, and nobody knows your life better than you. Nobody knows what's right for you better than you. And it's easy to look at other people and think, oh my gosh, they know exactly what's going on. They're experts at all this. If you're in uncharted territory and you're really living a courageous and adventurous life, people don't know. Everybody's making it up.
It is interesting. I remember watching, you'd see things when they go wrong, and you'd say, at one point I did say, like, if something's going to go wrong, then it's going to go wrong and be all me, versus go wrong because I didn't have the guts to say, I don't think we should do this, I think this is a problem. Fine. If it's going to be bad, let it be all my bad and all my fault, as opposed to my fault of not speaking up and saying, this is a problem. What do you think you wish someone had told you?
What you just said really hit home with me. I think our words are so powerful, our communication, what you do, your work, you inform people, and it's critical. But I think how we use that. I've had times in my life where I've responded impulsively without thinking, and I think, it's, we've heard it said, we've got 2 ears, 1 mouth, we should be listening twice as much as we're speaking. But I've also done the other extreme. I've been so shocked by things that people have said that I can't even believe that it's true. I think it must be a misunderstanding on my part, whether it's been a racist comment, just some really ugly stuff, and not speaking up quickly enough. Just really not asking enough questions, like, what did you mean by that? I'm not sure I'm understanding you, but did you say what I think you said? And so I think really having the boldness to really just add, it doesn't have to be confrontational, but there can be teaching moments when we take that step.
Earlier today, some of the girls were saying to Tatyana that they sort of, it was a great question. It was like, could you just tell me when I know a decision is good? Like, if you could just clear that up for us, that would save us a lot. A lot of these girls are trying to figure out what is their gut. That like the development of a good gut, unfortunately, kind of comes with some age too. What advice do you give your daughter, for example, who's here, like about, okay, here's where here's how you develop a good gut on things, on people, on experiences?
Well, and I think trusting your instinct is critical, and I think oftentimes in our culture, we condition our kids to not listen to their gut. We tell them to be polite. There's a time and a place for that, of course. But I read a great book by Gavin DeBecker called Protecting the Gift. And in it, he says, look, sometimes we get in an elevator with somebody and we can't pinpoint it, why they give us the creeps, but they give us the creeps and we get in the elevator anyway. Right. We tell our kids don't talk to strangers, but they see us talking to strangers every day. So rather encourage them in a safe atmosphere, age appropriate, to interact with strangers and ask them, how did you feel about that person? How was that encounter? So they have an opportunity. But I think as women too, we need to be mother bears. We need to trust our gut and teach our kids to develop their own instincts. Because it's always going to be, we've got rules for our kids. You be polite, you make eye contact, you consider others as more important than yourself, all of that. But if you or anyone else was ever in danger, all the rules go out the window. You kick, scream, fight, whatever you have to do.
I tell
there's
my
no
kids
rules
that,
for that.
actually. I know that sounds like I'm a crazy parent, but but just because I'm a reporter, so I've spent a lot of time covering really awful tragedies. And so sometimes I say to them, sometimes people don't know there's a problem, right? So if you have a problem, start screaming.
Right.
Don't behave nicely. If you start to shriek, that will make people pay attention. That seems to have helped. So what do you as you head into, Tatyana's a little on the young side here, as you head into your mid-30s, what are you thinking about for the next phase of your life? What are the things that you want to achieve? And do you come up with a list of dreams that you are still trying to figure out? What are they?
I loved when you talked about your lists.
I know, we're list makers. We're like type A, very neurotic women up here.
Well, my birthday's in January, and so it's right after 24th. So it's right after the New Year's, and so I don't make a list for New Year's. I always make a list on my birthday that night, or sometime when I'm alone, when I'm on my own, and I can really just get with my thoughts.
So what's on your list?
What's on my list? there are two projects that I want to produce that I've wanted to produce for a long time. And one of them is a project that I knew as an artist I'd have to have a certain gravitas, a certain age and weight, and a certain set of experiences to do. And I'm finally at that point, and I've been working on it little by little. There's a script for it. So I want to see, they're like babies, you know, I want to see them like born into the world and out on their own. So it's those two. I'm also at a point in my life where I would love to have a family. And so
I've got 4 children I can give you.
That's why I was like, how do you
Done. You can have them. You'll see.
I've got 4
Not
dogs.
very well.
But I'm finding that is actually an interesting area of my life. It's a little bit beyond where the girls are in the organization, but really about deciding the people that need to be in your life, curating the people in your life.
I love that way you put that, curating the people.
Yeah, what you want your life to really look like, what you believe you deserve. So I'm getting into all that kind of those awesome places right now.
That's great. How about for you, Kathy? Do you have dreams that you, I mean, sure, a list maker, so is it on your list like in 2015, here are the things that I need to achieve and the dreams that I'm going for? Is it?
A lot. You know, our brand is celebrating its 21st year this year. I'm 51, but we're a baby brand, and I feel like we're just starting, and there's so much ahead. I'm really excited, and I believe in dreams. I believe in hoping for the best, planning for the worst. One of the reasons why we partnered with American Family Insurance is because they are good people with integrity, and they encourage people to dream and dream big, and then they protect the dreams. And so finding, as we grow our business, it's finding people who we share core values with. They treat people well at every level, and that's of critical importance. And so as our brand grows and as I grow, I'm grateful to have been exposed to needs that are overwhelming, opportunities that are overwhelming, and it's exciting. There's a lot to be done, and that gets me excited, it gets me motivated, and so grateful to you, Soledad, for the great work that you do.
More. Are we tight shot? Roll on this.
No, okay, I have to say,
I'm calling you.
I
No,
met
don't do that.
Soledad in Haiti.
Yeah, we did. We
And
met on a
she
dusty
was
street in
on a
Haiti.
dusty, dirty road.
Right after the earthquake.
And I was with a group who was rebuilding a wall at an orphanage that had come down. Corrupt government was holding the supplies hostage, wanting a bribe for it. And Soledad caught wind of it, marched over there, and boy, you turned things around.
Just ask some questions on camera. Speak into the microphone, sir, and tell me where the cement mixer is. That's kind of how it
But
works.
you got the results.
Oh,
and
no, I mean, it was
that's
amazing. That was a
inspiring.
great organization. It's really why we started Starfish, because of the work that they were doing. A lot of their philosophy was around the starfish story. How do you deal with the people you have to fire out of your life? You know, sometimes I tell these girls, like, sometimes you got to take an assessment and be like, you do not get to be in my life anymore, because, and I find the people who sometimes are the biggest emotional and psychological drag are also the most fun. Like, they're fun, and but you're, you know, I don't know, how do you deal with that?
You know, they're fun at first. No.
Yeah, they are.
They're fun at first, and then as you become more aligned with your purpose, things that seemed fun before don't seem like that much fun anymore. They're not edifying. They're not. They don't build you up. It's very hard for me to fire people. It's been really hard for me to fire people. I come from a really close family, and we are.
Call me, I'll do it for you. I'm
Which
good
is
at
what
it.
which is what I love
For
about
other
your
people.
about the scholarship program, is that you can't find your way
Or
out of the
scholars.
scholarship. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
There's something to that. That's how my family is. We don't give up on each other.
Right.
Everybody, it's all or none, and we sacrifice for each other. For me, because it is hard for some people, because sometimes the people you have to fire are your family.
Yeah, no, I know.
I like to put people, I say, I'm putting you on pause. And I don't know.
Polite way of firing
Yeah, I
people.
don't know if maybe in a couple years, or we can stay in touch, but a little bit at a distance, maybe we'll see eye to eye once again. But right now, we're not eye to eye, and you're here to live your life, you know? And maybe you can lift them up by your example.
Both Tatyana and I run little fledgling companies, And so I feel like we should just sit here and pick her brain about running a multi-billion-dollar industry. Like, all y'all don't need to listen to this. We just need to grow our businesses. What would you say as a CEO, like running a company, what should we be taking from you as female executives who are trying to make smart choices? And I feel like I only learn from failure. It's like, yeah, not doing that again. No, not doing that again. What would you tell us to do?
Well, it goes back to what you brought up earlier about trusting your instinct. And as far as firing people, I've been fired twice. It stinks. It's not fun. So I really am careful in the hiring process. And, I was talking about American Family, the getting to know you process. We look at every relationship as long term. It's like a marriage. You want it to work. You want it to work. So put everything out there on the table. Just completely transparent. This is who we are. This is, if you like it, great. If you don't, we're not a good fit. Maybe we'll hang out sometime, but we're not a good fit for working together. When we're researching a potential new partner, we are just relentless. We go through everything. We scrutinize it. There's lawyers involved. But this process, for somebody starting out, it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. LegalZoom.com is wonderful. I don't work with them, but we've used them. So, we've used all kinds. Really just scrutinizing. Then when every T is crossed, I is dotted, we put the contracts away and start treating each other like family. But when you have it in writing, you kind of know where everybody stands. There's no questions. So even if it's a family relationship expectation, to have it in writing, so there's really no question, and you put it away and then you can refer to it in case there's ever a question arises.
Listen, I am all for firing bad boyfriends, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Fired.
Yeah.
Though, to me, the best kind of firing is a bad boyfriend who is wasting,
That
Yeah, well,
firing them.
that kind of firing is
That's not a
very,
pause,
it's very
that's more
healthy firing,
eject.
because some people, I think, don't deserve to be in your life, right?
No,
Eject.
and you can love people from afar. I think people don't have to have a front row in your life all the time. I think in our life we have people who are like engines and they propel us forward, and there's people who are kind of like anchors and they weigh us down and they get in the way of our dreams. But there can be different places, and some people you have to love from a really far distance. They just can't be anywhere near. It just doesn't work.
So how do you think, for the young women that we deal with, who I think are really trying to navigate their way, sometimes through difficult times, what kind of advice would you give them? It was fun to watch them scribbling furiously through the talks, with both of you. What would you tell them? Because I think that they're not always very confident. They sometimes feel like stuff is out of their reach, that they're not supposed to be successful. Maybe it's because how they look. Maybe it's because how they're educated. Some girls are in deep poverty and they feel like there's just no way out of that. Well, for both of you, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to go inward. That's been my biggest source of strength. And that's the place where you can really envision the things that you want for yourself. That's who you really are when you look inside. Spending the time to do that and making that a part of your practice or your life, however, whatever your belief systems are, if you have them, if you don't, but if you spend that time to be with yourself, be comfortable with yourself, love yourself, then all sorts of things grow out of that. Then you start to protect yourself. Then you start to care for yourself differently. Then you start to be patient with yourself. You start to love the things that everyone else thinks are imperfect. Those things become very special to you and unique about you. It builds self-confidence and self-esteem. And that's something that as a girl in this world is a hard, even as a woman in this world, I still work on my self-esteem all the time, every day, because life throws crazy things at you. Forget the past, today, walking down the street, something might happen that knocks me off. It's like, wow, I thought I was fly. How did I just trip? How did that happen? So look inward, but work on your self-esteem. It's as important as working on an essay. It's as important as working on an application.
You talk, Kathy, about failure a lot, and I love it because I think it's really easy to be wowed by all your incredible success. And I love that you're always bringing it back to, and I failed at this, and I got fired from this, and this thing didn't work. Just like, let me remind you all the real picture. How do you, for our young women, failure often is the end. They just can't go forward. They really have a hard time. What advice would you give them on that front?
I think when we have a failure, when life just hits us, and it can come in all kinds of shapes and forms, we have a decision to make. I mean, when we get knocked down and collapse and break down, we can either just stay there, or we can make the choice, and it is a choice, to break whatever chains are seeking to hold us down and to get back up and to break through. And sometimes I think that the biggest challenges in life, those are the times, in retrospect, when I look back, those are the times where I experience the most growth and the most strength, and I'm grateful for them, because if I was just comfortable and everything was going good, and I wouldn't have grown. I would have missed out on so much life and so much richness and so much experience. Yeah, it's hard, you know, there could be days that were really hard. We had everything from our only retail partner at the time facing bankruptcy, having payroll, families depending on us, and not knowing where it was going to come from. Just crazy lessons that I'm really grateful for, because those are refining. And I really find too that taking my eyes off myself, because it can be a little overwhelming, and it can get scary, and then I can just start seeing all the things that are wrong, like I'm not qualified, I'm not good enough to do this. But really focusing, wait a minute, this is the goal. These are the people who I want to be of service to, and this is how I'm going to accomplish it. I have a friend who's an amazing artist, and she's terrified. She's brilliant. She's terrified to get out there and get in front of people she's afraid of the rejection. And so for her, she loves animals. It's like, okay, get over yourself. Think about all those puppies that you're going to save and rescue if your work sells. So stop thinking about yourself. Think about the puppies and go sell your art. And
Last question before we run out of time for our Google Hangout. Do you feel hopeful where we are in the world today? I mean, we talked a little bit about sex trafficking. It's such a huge problem for young women. I see a room full of young women who have so much promise and a lot of obstacles. I mean, for some of those young women, you know, they have some serious challenges. Do you feel good about their future? We feel how? Sure, you can start first.
I feel great about the future of the girls in here today. I see the great strides that are being made. There are many things I think that are holding girls back and holding women back all over the world. And I am very frustrated by the fact that it's not, that things like this can happen. You know, I'm talking about Nigeria, and there's a girls' summit happening in the UK right now, and you brought up sex trafficking. I'm appalled that it's not something that the entire world isn't up in arms about, that it's not a reason to go into some place, and that our young women and young girls are not reason to fight. We fight for so many things. I think that's insane. And I don't know if I'm seeing it more because I'm paying attention to it in a different way, because I don't think that's it. I think it's louder now than it was before. I don't know, but I think there's some kind of critical mass thing that's happening right now, and it's I think the missing piece in all of it is women working together to make these things, to eradicate these things, to eradicate these boundaries for our young women and for our girls, not just here in education, but in healthcare and all over the world. But we do have to work together, which, you know, with liberation in the 70s, I feel like we're now just getting into a place where it's like, oh, we can work together in a different way. We can look different. We can be from different backgrounds, economic backgrounds, and that's what it's going to take. So with all the girls, seeing them network with one another, I ran into 3 of the girls on the street in Times Square just hanging out and enjoying the city and spending time with one another. That gives me hope, because the 3 of those girls, this experience that you've given them, they will be friends for life. They will always have each other's back. That's what needs to happen. And so that's how yeah.
That's why we call it PowHERful.
Yeah.
So what do you
Yeah.
think? And I'll give you the final word, Kathy.
Uh,
Hopeful? You must be. If you have children, I don't think you
Yeah.
can be not hopeful about what the future holds.
I'm hopeful. I think I'm realistic. It's hard. When I was younger, my formal education ended when I finished high school by the skin of my teeth. But I think when people from my generation finished college, they found a job. Today, young people have to invent one. It's different. They're tapping into different skills. Kids in our country are competing with kids in developing countries who will work gladly for $3 an hour. The good side of that is it is focusing us to work better, smarter, more efficiently, just tapping into the entrepreneurial skills that I believe everyone has. It's just a matter of discovering and developing them. So I am hopeful as far as the atrocities that are occurring around the world that you talked about. You know, in our country, women, we face discrimination, we have bad days, we have to deal with funky people, but around the world, our sisters are being persecuted. And we, as you said, we've got to stand together, we've got to fight against that. It is frightening, and it's something that's frightening in our own country. I think a lot of the human trafficking stems from social media. And predators finding children online, developing a relationship, getting them to meet, kidnapping them, taking them from place to place. It's much harder to escape when you're confused and the life of your family is threatened if you say anything. But on the positive note of that, I work with an amazing woman, Faye Washington, from YWCA Greater Los Angeles. You know Faye?
Of course, yeah.
She's amazing.
I know the YWCA very well.
So wonderful. We got to do a symposium recently, and we had every arm of government, technology arm there. And I think through technology being used correctly, so much is going to be done, and we're going to be able to stop it. The work that you do in getting the awareness out, the communication out, I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful. I'm hopeful for this younger generation, and as you said, Tatyana, the girls today, how great to experience them. They're motivated, they're driven, and you can tell they're truly grateful for what you've put on here today for them.
What you have put on here. I just am the facilitator. Well, thank you to 2 amazing PowHERful women. Great to have you, and our girls absolutely adored your message, so I really, really appreciate it. Tatyana Lee and Kathy Ireland joining me in our Google Hangout. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank
A pleasure.
you.